Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video on a very, very important topic. Now, before I get started on this topic of mental health, I wanted to point out that one of the 6 philosophies of naturopathic medicine is to treat the whole person. And this holds true for emotional and mental health as well as for physical health. So, what I want to discuss today is where we are in America right now with our current mental health status, why we need to do more holistically with our psychiatric care, and overcoming the shameful stigma which provokes barrier to care in general with mental health. So, this holistic approach to medicine is not very popular in modern conventional medicine, and it's not very popular in conventional psychiatry. And perhaps you may have witnessed this yourself or with someone you love, feeling like something was missing. That therapy and medication for a lot of people can be very helpful, and they can provide a form of a solution for many people who couldn't function beforehand without them. But many people feel that it's just not hitting the nail on the head per se. It's not addressing all of the issues that are at hand. Now, just recently, if you're watching this in 2022, the alarming statistics of Americans' mental health was brought into the forefront. In an attempt to confront this problem, the White House actually released strategies to help remediate some of this. So they discuss things, which I'm going to get into a little bit later, about increasing access to mental health services, providing more education to healthcare professionals, funding more mental health research, and decreasing stigma. And these are all imperative, and I feel that they're all necessary. I do have a large concern that we may be missing a vital component. And again, that goes back to this holistic approach of wellness, which integrates not only the body and mind, but the spirit, lifestyle, genetics, environment, socioeconomics. And I feel that this is a very important aspect, not just for overall health, but for mental health as well. And I want to just highlight in the upcoming videos, and I'm going to be highlighting it more so, the importance of looking at it from this viewpoint, from this lens, specifically because we are really in a state right now. According to the government website, our country faces an unprecedented mental health crisis. 2 out of 5 adults report symptoms of anxiety and depression. It's most affected by people of Black and Brown communities. And even before the pandemic, rates of depression and anxiety were reaching very high proportions. The grief, the trauma, the physical isolation of the past 2 years really has brought America to its breaking point. And unfortunately, our youth are suffering the most. So this toll on our society is really heart-wrenching for me, and especially for our youth. What the government proposed to remediate this dire circumstance is basically a three-step action plan that has branches that come off from those 3 main points. And the 3 main points are to strengthen system capacity and promote diversity, to connect Americans to care, and to support Americans by creating safe environments. So if we look at strengthening system capacity, promoting diversity, that includes expanding mental health workforce, providing initiatives for increasing accessibility to care, especially in communities and places where it's very hard to get. So that's a really good thing to be doing, and investing in more mental health research. So that's the first kind of leg of the prong. The second is connecting Americans to mental health care. And this includes expanding access through virtual and environmental locations, providing insurance for mental health coverage, which is important, and integrating mental health in a variety of different settings across schools and across different social settings. And then the third aspect is supporting Americans by creating safe environments. So we're talking here about banning targeted ads for children, expanding privacy online, researching social media's negative mental health implications, and easing discriminatory algorithms, expanding social support, and finally training social and human service professionals in basic mental health. I mean, there is a lot more detail, but this is my basic summary of what the plan offers. And I do applaud the fact that these strategies offer solutions within the socioeconomic and environmental factors of mental health. So we're providing access or aiming to provide more access to people who need it in areas where they might not have access to it prior, and also allowing more insurance coverage and public health service to help people out who couldn't afford it otherwise. So I love that. The thing that I'm concerned about is it doesn't provide room for different kinds of support for brain health and integrative wellness. So we are expanding access, but not necessarily addressing the causative roots of why we are struggling so much with mental health. And this includes physical brain health. And I fear that without addressing all aspects that are important to an individual, when we look at the spiritual side and what makes people passionate, what's their purpose, when we look at, even genetic factors or physical trauma to the brain that's causing some of these emotional issues, right? So you can do all of the therapy in the world. If your brain doesn't have the proper nutrition or has a genetic variant in it where it needs a certain nutrient more than another, it's going to be a lot harder to feel okay. We need to look at lifestyle. If a person is socially supported, all of these different aspects are important when we're addressing mental health, just as they are for physical health. So we can move the needle. I would like to see us actually move the needle all the way. So I strongly believe that you can't treat the physical without looking at the emotional, and we really need to address the emotional by peering into our physiology and biochemical aspects of brain health and looking into all these integrative wellness aspects as well. And I do feel that as naturopathic doctors and as functional medicine practitioners, that we have tools that we can really address this from a holistic approach where we're not necessarily replacing therapy in conventional psychiatry, but we're augmenting it to these different areas that maybe conventional medicine doesn't really have time or the resources to fully address. So I feel like these current steps are a start, but we need to not just focus on expanding access. We need to focus on what access we are expanding to. And I do think that we don't have to choose conventional or holistic, that we need to integrate them. Because if you simply focus on natural therapies to feel better, you might not be addressing the underlying cognitive distortions that can further perpetuate the cycle. And you're just going to lead to additional emotional or mood imbalances later on. If you're not addressing the biochemical aspects that, hormones, nutrients, lifestyle, oxidative stress, genetic variations, these all modulate neurochemistry. So you could be addressing the cognitive distortions, but it's harder to stick with the therapy. I think it's really important that we look at both. So that's kind of where we are at and what I feel is missing when we're addressing this crisis that we're in right now. And another aspect is all this discussion about proper treatment would be moot if people don't seek it out. And there's still this major barrier of people getting help for mental health. And this is besides the lack of available efficacious treatment, right? Even with access, many people still view mental health as a willpower issue rather than a brain health issue. And there's still a lot of stigma surrounding mental health. Thankfully, this is turning around. There's a lot more evidence that is being presented and making mainstream that those with psychiatric issues have different brain makeups than people who don't. or people who aren't struggling with depression, anxiety, and different OCD and different brain health issues. So the conversation is starting to shift for the better, and people are now being called out for sometimes not fully understanding what is going on when someone has a mental health diagnosis. And furthermore, the media and some famous celebrities are coming out and bringing more attention to what mental health looks like, right? And it doesn't necessarily look like a certain individual. It can appear very silent, and people can suffer in that silence. We have a lot of work to do still, because many people don't understand that just like any other symptom in the body with any other organ, the brain is not optimally functioning. So we don't reprimand somebody for having a broken leg and tell them to get up and run, and just it's a matter of willpower, get away the cast before you get treatment. Nurture the bone, keep it on the cast for a while, do some exercises until that person can run fully and be fully functioning in society. Same thing with a brain that has some bruises, right? Or just has some pathways that aren't fully connected yet. So we also have this whole aspect of the actual sufferer who's in shame, blaming themselves for having a brain health issue. And that is not helpful for full recovery. So my goal has been to provide resources and information to educate everyone out there that mental health really is a brain health issue. And Dr. Amen has really paved the way for this, and many other integrative practitioners, about the importance of holistic health and mind-body connections, and that this psychological aspect is also a physiological aspect of the brain. I want people to know that reaching out is crucial and ending the stigma is vital. And I do hope that you will get the support that you need. In some upcoming videos and also in some previous ones, I've talked more about a holistic approach to mental health. So feel free to view my website, look at those resources. There will be links in the video description. Consider getting supplemental support if you're getting conventional support with a naturopathic or functional medicine doctor. I personally specialize in specific generalized mood issues as a support to conventional treatment for holistic health. So just remember, when the brain itself is misfiring and unbalanced, without proper treatment, it can be glossed over and an invisible wound for the sufferer. And it's really time to end that hurt. And we need to do it at a level of the body, the mind, the spirit, in a totally integrative approach. I'd love to hear what you think about what I just said. And I hope you found this very helpful. I'll talk to you again soon. Make sure you check out all the resources again on my website, all my different offerings, my free resources, my course. There's links to the essential oils, which are a whole holistic approach to mood and helping emotional health. So I hope you take a glance at that too. I'll see you real soon. Thanks for joining me.